They say every puppet eventually sees its strings. They say every double agent reaches a breaking point where they must choose a side. But what happens when the line between infiltrator and operative disappears? What happens when pretending to be the monster makes you become one? Today, Ethan Reed will discover that some transformations can't be undone, and some prices are too high to pay. Saturday morning, 6 a.m. Ethan stands outside his house, laptop bag containing encrypted recordings from last week's Level 1 training. The black SUV arrives precisely on time. Inside, Olivia Chen reviews files on a tablet while Michael Torres drums fingers against the steering wheel with nervous energy. Sleep well? Olivia asks without looking up. Like a baby, Ethan lies. He hasn't slept properly since infiltration began. Every night brings nightmares where he can't tell if he's the hero or villain. Good. You'll need to be sharp today. Level 2 isn't theoretical anymore. She finally looks at him, eyes calculating. Today, you become operational. The drive takes them deeper into rural territory, past the Riverside Institute to a smaller facility hidden behind electronic gates and security cameras. The building resembles a medical clinic, sterile, efficient, purposeful. Dr. Victoria Hartwell waits inside with two people Ethan doesn't recognize. One is a woman in her 30s, sharp-featured with predatory alertness. The other is a man who could be anywhere from 25 to 45, his face deliberately forgettable. Ethan, meet your field supervisors. Ms. Sarah Lynch handles psychological operations. Mr. James Carter oversees direct interventions. Neither offers to shake hands. They study him like scientists examining a specimen. Before we begin, Victoria says, understand that Level 2 crosses significant ethical boundaries. What you'll learn and do today exists in legal gray areas. Your consent must be absolute and informed. She slides a thick document across the table. Non-disclosure agreement with significant penalties. Read carefully. The document is comprehensive, threatening civil and criminal consequences for unauthorized disclosure. More disturbing are the liability waivers. The Shadow Council expects casualties. What exactly will I be doing? Ethan asks, maintaining appropriate nervousness. Sarah Lynch speaks for the first time, her voice clinically detached. You'll observe and assist in managing a developing situation at Maplewood High. A student showing dangerous resistance patterns similar to your own former behavior. Dangerous how? David Kim. Sophomore. Honor student until recently. Started questioning authority, organizing other students, spreading conspiracy theories about systematic oppression. She shows surveillance photos of a thin Asian boy addressing small groups. Ethan's blood chills. David Kim is following his exact path, documenting bullying, recognizing patterns, fighting back. Now he's targeted for the same destruction Ethan experienced. What's the intervention plan? James Carter opens a folder revealing detailed psychological profiles, social network maps, vulnerability assessments. Standard Protocol 7. Social isolation, reputation destruction, psychological pressure until subject either integrates or withdraws. Withdraws? Transfers schools, enters treatment, or, Carter pauses. Reaches natural conclusion of sustained psychological pressure. Suicide. They're discussing driving a 16-year-old to suicide as operational outcome. That seems extreme, Ethan manages. Less extreme than allowing unchecked resistance to metastasize, Victoria explains. One unmanaged dissenter can inspire dozens. Those dozens can destabilize entire social structures we've spent years building. Olivia adds, remember what your resistance cost you, Ethan. The pain you experienced, the isolation, the near breakdown. Do you want David to suffer the same? Or worse? The twisted logic, destroying someone to save them from being destroyed. Classic Shadow Council rationalization. How do I help? Sarah Lynch smiles, the expression not reaching her eyes. You'll make initial contact. Former rebel reaching out to current rebel. Establish trust, gather intelligence, identify pressure points. Then we apply precise psychological pressure to those points until David either joins us or removes himself from the equation. Ethan signs the documents, each signature feeling like betrayal of everything he once stood for. But maintaining cover requires total commitment. The team loads into a van equipped with surveillance equipment. During the drive, Sarah Lynch explains field protocols. First rule, maintain emotional distance. You're not David's friend. You're his handler, whether he knows it or not. Second rule, Carter adds, document everything. Every conversation, every reaction, every sign of breaking or hardening. Data drives decisions. Third rule, Olivia says quietly, remember why we do this. Social stability requires sacrifice. Sometimes we sacrifice others. sometimes ourselves. They park near Maplewood High's weekend study center. Through tinted windows, they observe David Kim at a corner table, surrounded by notebooks and laptop, clearly researching something intently. Subject displays typical isolation behavior, Lynch narrates. Voluntary separation from peer groups, obsessive documentation, heightened vigilance. Ethan watches this younger version of himself and feels sick. 3 weeks ago, he was David Kim. Now he's being trained to psychologically destroy him. Approach protocol, Carter instructs. You're here studying. Notice his research. Express interest and sympathy. Build rapport through shared experience. What's my cover story? The truth, Lynch says. Former resistance fighter who learned the hard way that fighting the system only brings pain. Now trying to help others avoid your mistakes. The truth weaponized as manipulation tool. Ethan takes recording equipment concealed as study materials and heads inside. The study center is mostly empty. David doesn't look up as Ethan chooses a nearby table. For 10 minutes, Ethan pretends to work while observing. David's notebooks show behavioral charts, social network diagrams, pattern analyses, exactly like Ethan's old research. Finally, Ethan speaks. Investigating social hierarchies? David's head snaps up, immediately defensive. Just homework. Doesn't look like any homework I've seen. More like, Ethan lets recognition dawn. More like what I used to do. You're Ethan Reed. Not a question. David clearly knows his reputation. Yeah. The crazy kid who thought everyone was out to get him. Self-deprecation designed to lower defenses. Were they? Out to get you. Critical moment. Too much validation encourages resistance. Too little breaks rapport. I thought so. Spent 3 years documenting every slight, every pattern, every connection. Know what I discovered? David leans forward despite himself. What? That I was creating the patterns I thought I was finding. When you're looking for conspiracy, everything looks like evidence. But Derek Matthews, Jessica Hartwell, they did target people systematically. They were just teenagers being jerks. I turned normal high school dynamics into this elaborate persecution fantasy. Each word burns, but delivery must be perfect. David's eyes narrow. That's not what people say. They say you had evidence, recordings, proof of coordination. Smart kid. Dangerously smart. I had a bunch of data I misinterpreted because I was hurting and needed someone to blame. When you're in pain, your mind creates patterns that aren't there. So you just gave up? Accepted that you were wrong? I accepted that I was sick. That turning normal social friction into warfare was destroying me. Ethan pulls out his phone, showing carefully edited photos. Look at me 3 months ago versus now. Which version looks healthier? The photos are real, Ethan during peak paranoia versus after decent sleep and regular meals. The visual impact is undeniable. David studies them. Maybe you just got tired of fighting. I got tired of fighting shadows. Of seeing enemies everywhere. Of being alone and afraid all the time. Truth mixed with lies, the most effective manipulation. I'm not alone, David says defensively. Other people see what I see. Really? How many? Ethan already knows. Surveillance identified 3 other students David considers allies. And how many have stuck around as you've gotten more intense about this? David's silence confirms what files indicated. Initial supporters have distanced themselves as his behavior became more obsessive. Look, Ethan says gently, I'm not here to tell you what to think. But I've walked your exact path, and I know where it leads. Isolation. Paranoia. Eventually, breakdown. Or breakthrough. Maybe you were right the first time. Maybe there really is systematic oppression happening, and they just broke you into denying it. Dangerous territory. David is one step from truth. You know what? You're right. There is systematic oppression happening. David looks triumphant until Ethan continues. It's called life. Popular kids have advantages. Rich families have influence. Natural leaders rise while others follow. It's not conspiracy, it's human nature. That's exactly what they want us to think. Who's they, David? Give me names. Specific people organizing this elaborate system. David hesitates. His research has identified patterns but not the Shadow Council itself. He's close but hasn't connected final dots. I'm still investigating. You'll always be investigating. Because the conspiracy grows to match your paranoia. First it's a few bullies. Then teachers are involved. Then administrators. Soon, everyone's part of it except you. Ethan hates himself for weaponizing his own journey, but David's doubt is visible now. What do you suggest I do? Just accept being victimized? I suggest you focus on what you can control. Your grades, your actual friends, your future. Not elaborate plots that may or may not exist. Easy for you to say. You already fought your battle. And lost. Completely. All I achieved was making myself miserable and giving my enemies exactly what they wanted, me isolated and powerless. David starts gathering his materials. Maybe you're right. Or maybe you're exactly what someone who broke would sound like. Smart. So dangerously smart. Think about what I've said. And if you want to talk more, I'm around. David leaves without responding. Ethan waits 5 minutes before returning to the van. Initial contact successful, Lynch observes, reviewing hidden camera footage. Subject is resistant but engaged. Doubt seeds planted effectively. He's intelligent, Ethan reports. Suspicious of my motives but can't quite dismiss my experience. Perfect, Carter says. Intelligent targets are easier once you crack their logic. Their own minds become weapons against them. Victoria calls in on secure phone. Excellent work, Ethan. Continue building rapport. We need full psychological profile within 1 week. The van drives away, leaving Ethan to contemplate what he's begun. In trying to save the Shadow Council's victims, he's become their weapon. The double agent paradox: to maintain cover requires actually doing the enemy's work. That night, Ethan uploads recordings to underground servers but includes a warning: David Kim, sophomore, targeted for Protocol 7. Intervention needed. The response is swift: cannot break cover for individual target. Maintain mission parameters. Individual target. David Kim reduced to acceptable casualty in larger war. Ethan stares at his laptop, seeing David's face in his own reflection. Once, Ms. Rodriguez said everyone becomes puppet or puppet master. She never mentioned the third option, becoming both simultaneously. Monday morning. Ethan arrives at school to find David Kim's social destruction already beginning. The Shadow Council doesn't waste time once a target is identified. Did you see what David posted? Students whisper in hallways. He's lost it, completely paranoid. Ethan checks social media. David's accounts have been compromised, filled with increasingly unhinged posts about persecution and conspiracy. Some are his actual thoughts taken out of context. Others are complete fabrications designed to seem authentic. The sophistication is remarkable. Each post builds on previous ones, creating narrative of descent into paranoia. Timestamps suggest obsessive late-night posting. Language patterns match David's writing style perfectly. In the cafeteria, Ethan spots David sitting alone, frantically typing on his phone. Former friends avoid eye contact as they pass. The isolation protocol is already working. Ethan approaches carefully. Rough morning? David looks up, eyes wild with frustration. They hacked my accounts. Posted fake content to make me look crazy. Who's they? I don't know. That's the problem. Every time I get close to identifying them, something like this happens. He shows Ethan his phone. Look at these posts. I didn't write them, but they sound exactly like me. Because Shadow Council operatives spent weeks analyzing your communication patterns, Ethan thinks but doesn't say. Have you considered that maybe you did write them? When you're stressed, sometimes we don't remember everything we do. I'm not having blackouts, David insists. Someone is deliberately trying to discredit me. Or you're so deep in this conspiracy mindset that you're creating evidence to support it. Including posts you don't remember writing because they came from your subconscious. The gaslight flickers in David's eyes, doubt about his own perceptions. That's not. I would remember. Would you? When was the last time you slept properly? Ate regular meals? Took a break from investigating? David's appearance confirms sleep deprivation, poor nutrition, obsessive focus. Classic signs that make targets vulnerable to psychological manipulation. I can't take breaks. Every day I wait, more people get hurt. More people? Or just you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're the only one suffering from this crusade. Sarah Mueller approaches their table, another Shadow Council operative, though David doesn't know it. Hey Ethan. Oh, sorry, am I interrupting? Her performance of casual friendliness is flawless. Not at all. Sarah, this is David. David, Sarah. Sarah's smile falters perfectly. Oh, you're the one who's been posting about secret societies controlling the school. I haven't been posting anything, David says defensively. Right. Sarah's tone suggests disbelief without direct confrontation. Well, nice meeting you. She turns to Ethan. We're still on for study group Thursday? Absolutely. After she leaves, David looks suspicious. Study group? For recovering from what we went through. Dr. Chen connected us, former conspiracy theorists learning to reintegrate. Former conspiracy theorists. Like it's a disease to question authority. It is when questioning becomes obsession. When pattern seeking becomes paranoia. When fighting shadows costs you everything real. Ethan hates every manipulative word, but David's defenses are weakening. The combination of social isolation, sleep deprivation, and gaslighting is taking its toll. Maybe you're right, David admits quietly. Maybe I'm seeing things that aren't there. The fact you can consider that possibility means you're not as far gone as I was. There's still hope for normal life. Normal. Where people like Derek Matthews terrorize whoever they want. Derek graduated. Jessica's focused on college prep. The people you think are organizing against you have moved on. Maybe it's time you did too. David's phone buzzes with notification. His face pales reading it. What now? Ethan asks, though he already knows. Email to my teachers. From my account. Telling them I'm struggling with mental health issues and may need extensions on assignments. The Shadow Council's next phase, academic pressure. Make targets seem unstable to authority figures who might help them. Did you send it? No. But it's from my authenticated account, sent at 3 a.m. when I was asleep. Or when you thought you were asleep. Stress does strange things to memory. Stop saying that. I know what's real and what isn't. Do you? Because I remember saying exactly the same thing, right before my complete breakdown. Other students stare at David's raised voice. He notices and shrinks back, another victory for isolation protocol. I should go, David mutters. David, wait. Ethan catches his arm gently. I know this is hard. I know it feels like the world is against you. But that feeling? That's the problem, not the world. Easy wisdom from someone who gave up. Wisdom from someone who survived. The question is, will you? David pulls away and leaves. Ethan watches him go, knowing tonight's Shadow Council meeting will escalate protocols based on continued resistance. In afternoon advanced chemistry, Ethan receives encrypted message on his Shadow Council phone. Phase 2 initiated. Monitor subject's psychological state. Report breaking points. He glances across the room where Amanda Kim takes notes. She catches his eye and nods slightly. She's handling David's academic pressures while Ethan manages social dynamics. The coordination is seamless. Every aspect of David's life is being systematically attacked by people he doesn't even know are enemies. Teachers receive concerning emails. Friends get anonymous messages about David's instability. Parents are contacted by worried school counselors. By end of day, Ethan counts 7 different operatives involved in David's destruction. The resource allocation seems excessive until he remembers Victoria's words, one unmanaged dissenter can inspire dozens. David Kim isn't just a target. He's an example. After school, Ethan finds David in the library, surrounded by psychology textbooks. Researching gaslighting techniques? Ethan asks. Trying to understand what's happening to me. Everything I read about psychological manipulation matches what I'm experiencing. Confirmation bias. When you're looking for patterns, you'll find them everywhere. Or maybe I'm finding them because they're there. Ethan sits down, calculating next approach. Let me ask you something. What's your endgame? Say you prove everything you suspect. Then what? Then people will know the truth. Things will change. Like they changed when I presented evidence? All that happened was people thought I was more dangerous. Because you didn't go far enough. You backed down right when you were close to exposing everything. Too close to truth. Ethan shifts tactics. What if I could show you how deep this goes? What if I could prove your conspiracy theories are actually underestimating the situation? David's eyes light up with dangerous interest. You know something. I know that fighting systems bigger than yourself only guarantees destruction. But if you really want to see behind the curtain. Yes. Thursday study group. It's not what I told you. It's where former resistors learn how things really work. Where we decide whether to keep fighting or join the system. Join them? You actually joined the people who tortured you. I learned that perspective matters. What I saw as torture, they saw as necessary social maintenance. Once I understood their reasoning. You became one of them. Disgust colors David's voice. I became someone who understands how the world actually works versus how I wished it worked. Question is, are you brave enough to learn the same? It's the most dangerous gambit yet, inviting David directly into Shadow Council recruitment. But Protocol 7 includes absorption as possible outcome, and bringing in a resistant target would cement Ethan's operational credibility. They'd never accept me. Not after everything I've documented. They accepted me. And I had 3 years of documentation versus your 3 months. David considers. This feels like a trap. Everything feels like a trap when you're paranoid. Maybe it's time to find out what's real. Fine. Thursday. But if this is some kind of setup? It is a setup. Just not the kind you think. It's setting you up to understand reality instead of fighting shadows. David leaves, uncertainty replacing previous conviction. Ethan reports successful Phase 2 psychological destabilization and potential recruitment interest. Lynch responds immediately, excellent work. Prepare subject for Thursday revelation. Authorization for accelerated integration if subject shows promise. That night, Ethan lies awake calculating moral mathematics. Is recruiting David into Shadow Council better than letting them destroy him? Is making him a perpetrator kinder than leaving him a victim? Is there any choice that doesn't end in damnation? The secure underground phone buzzes. David Kim status? Ethan types, recruitment initiated as alternative to destruction. May be able to turn him into asset. Negative. No Shadow Council expansion acceptable. Find another way. Another way. As if Ethan has any power to change Shadow Council protocols once initiated. As if his cover identity carries any actual authority. He deletes the message and stares at ceiling. Thursday approaches with inevitable momentum. David Kim will either be broken, recruited, or Ethan will have to break cover to save him, destroying months of infiltration and condemning dozens of future victims to save one present one. The mathematics of resistance never balance cleanly. Thursday evening. The study group meets in Maplewood High's Conference Room B, officially reserved for peer leadership development. 7 students arranged in careful circle, each selected for specific psychological profiles and strategic positions. Ethan arrives early, finding Olivia arranging materials while Michael checks surveillance equipment. The official agenda discusses stress management and social integration. The real agenda is far darker. Nervous about bringing David? Olivia asks. Concerned about his readiness. He's still highly resistant. Resistance can become our strongest tool once properly redirected. Some of our best operatives started as our fiercest opponents. Like Derek Matthews? Olivia smiles. Derek was never truly resistant. Just undirected aggression looking for purpose. David Kim is different, principled opposition based on moral conviction. Much more valuable once converted. Other members arrive. Sarah Mueller, Amanda Kim, Marcus Webb, Ethan's former ally now fully integrated, Jennifer Adams, and 2 juniors Ethan doesn't recognize. Each represents different school demographics, creating comprehensive coverage network. David enters last, defensive posture screaming discomfort. He scans faces, recognizing some as former tormentors or current social manipulators. Welcome, David, Olivia says warmly. Please, sit. Tonight we'll challenge everything you think you know. David sits beside Ethan, whispering, what is this? Truth, Ethan responds simply. Olivia begins with seemingly innocent discussion about social dynamics and group behavior. But gradually, she introduces more sophisticated concepts, social engineering, behavioral modification, systematic intervention. Every society requires management, she explains. The question isn't whether to influence social development, but how to do it effectively and ethically. Ethically? David interrupts. You're talking about manipulation. We're talking about responsibility. When you see someone heading toward self-destruction, do you intervene or watch them fall? Sarah Mueller shares her story, recruited after nearly dropping out, now maintaining perfect grades and heading to Ivy League. Marcus Webb describes his transformation from victim to leader, though Ethan knows the truth involves psychological breaking and reconditioning. Each testimony follows similar pattern, lost individuals saved by understanding their place in larger system, given purpose through serving collective stability. But what about people you hurt? David demands. Students driven to breakdowns, transfers, worse? Necessary casualties, Michael says calmly. Every functional system has waste products. The question is minimizing harm while maximizing benefit. You're talking about human beings like their statistics. Because at scale, that's what we become, Olivia responds. Individual suffering matters less than collective thriving. One student's breakdown preventing dozens from similar fate is mathematically moral. David looks physically ill. This is insane. You're all insane. That's what Ethan said initially, Amanda notes. Now he understands the bigger picture. All eyes turn to Ethan. This is his moment to either sell David on recruitment or watch him be designated for destruction. David, Ethan begins carefully, I fought this system for 3 years. Documented every abuse, every pattern, every connection. Know what I learned? That you were right? That I was fighting the wrong battle. The system exists because it works. Because without it, chaos. Look at schools without strong social hierarchies, violence, academic failure, psychological dysfunction everywhere. So you justify bullying as social service? I justify structure. Derek's methods were crude but effective. Now we use more sophisticated approaches. Psychological intervention instead of physical intimidation. Behavioral modification instead of brute force. You're describing mind control. I'm describing civilization. Every law, every social norm, every expectation is mind control. We just do it intentionally instead of randomly. David stands abruptly. I'm leaving. This is exactly what I suspected, and you're all either brainwashed or evil. Sit down, David. Olivia's voice carries new authority. Leaving isn't an option anymore. Michael blocks the door. The atmosphere shifts from recruitment to threat. See? David says. Take away the philosophy and you're just thugs with vocabularies. We're pragmatists, Olivia corrects. You've seen too much to leave uncommitted. So you have two choices, join us or be designated a continuing threat requiring permanent solution. Permanent solution. You mean like Jake Morrison? Silence falls. Jake Morrison, student who disappeared last year after investigating administrative corruption. Official story involved family move. Rumors suggested darker possibilities. Jake's situation was unfortunate, Olivia says carefully. Mental health crisis leading to institutionalization. Could have been avoided if he'd accepted help earlier. You mean if he joined you? Precisely. David looks at Ethan desperately. You're really part of this? You know what they did to Jake? Ethan forces himself to meet David's eyes. I know Jake refused to see reason. Refused to accept reality. His breakdown was inevitable. Lie tastes like poison. Ethan has no idea what happened to Jake, but maintaining cover requires absolute commitment to Shadow Council narrative. Then you're worse than them, David spits. At least they were always enemies. You pretended to understand. I do understand. That's why I'm trying to save you from Jake's fate. Olivia produces a tablet showing surveillance footage. David, we have complete documentation of your activities. Your research, your attempts to organize resistance, your psychological deterioration. One word from us and you're following Jake's path. Or, Michael adds, you join us. Use your analytical skills constructively. Help identify and redirect potential dissidents before they self-destruct. Become a monster to avoid being destroyed by monsters. Become a shepherd instead of sheep, Olivia corrects. The wolves exist regardless. Question is whether you're predator or prey. David slumps in defeat. Ethan recognizes the moment, when fighting seems pointless and survival requires compromise. What would I have to do? Initially? Share your research. Help us identify other potential resistors. Learn our methods. Prove commitment to stability over chaos. Betray everyone who trusted me. Save them from themselves, Amanda interjects. Most resistors are just confused individuals needing direction. You'd be helping them find purpose. The recruitment pitch continues, each member sharing benefits of cooperation, academic advantages, college recommendations, future career networks, protection from social targeting. We're not asking you to enjoy necessary actions, Olivia concludes. Just to understand their necessity. Emotional distance develops with practice. And if I can't develop that distance? Then you're unsuited for leadership and better served by removal from influence positions. Death or damnation. The Shadow Council's ultimate recruitment tool. David turns to Ethan one final time. Tell me honestly, is this what you want? Is serving them worth betraying everything you believed? Ethan weighs responses. Truth would blow cover and condemn multiple future victims. Lies would cement David's recruitment into systematic evil. Want doesn't matter, Ethan says finally. This is reality. Fighting it nearly destroyed me. Accepting it gave me purpose and power. The choice is yours, but consequences are certain. David closes his eyes. When they open, something has died in them. Fine. I'll join. But I want immunity for my prior activities and guarantee of protection. Granted, Olivia says smoothly. Welcome to Level 1, David. Your real education begins now. The meeting concludes with administrative details, training schedules, security protocols, initial assignments. David mechanically agrees to everything, survival instinct overriding moral objections. As they leave, David grabs Ethan's arm. I hope you can live with what you've become. Living is the point, Ethan responds. Everything else is philosophy. David walks away, another casualty added to Ethan's growing collection. But maintaining cover has provided crucial intelligence, Shadow Council recruitment methods, psychological breaking techniques, network expansion strategies. Later, uploading recordings to underground servers, Ethan includes detailed analysis of Protocol 7 implementation. The intelligence is invaluable, bought with David Kim's soul. Ms. Rodriguez responds personally, exceptional work. David's sacrifice serves greater purpose. Final phase begins soon. Sacrifice. As if David chose martyrdom instead of having it forced upon him. Ethan deletes messages and stares at reflection in black screen. The face looking back belongs to neither hero nor villain, but something worse, a hero wearing villain's mask so convincingly he sometimes forgets it's a disguise. Tomorrow, David begins transformation from resistor to oppressor. Ethan will guide the process, ensuring another idealist becomes instrument of system they once opposed. The underground promises this serves greater good, that temporary evil enables ultimate justice. But watching David's light extinguish, Ethan wonders if darkness spreading is the only certain outcome. 2 weeks later, Ethan watches David Kim conduct his first intervention on a freshman showing signs of social resistance. The transformation is remarkable and horrifying. The passionate fighter for justice has become cold instrument of oppression. You're creating problems where none exist, David tells the terrified freshman. This persecution complex will only lead to isolation and pain. Trust me, I've been there. The words echo Ethan's own manipulation, perfected through repetition. David has internalized Shadow Council doctrine completely, wielding it against others with convert zeal. After dismissing the thoroughly intimidated freshman, David joins Ethan in the empty classroom they're using for operations. Effective work, Ethan observes. You've developed the necessary emotional distance quickly. It's easier than I expected, David admits. Once you understand they're sick, helping them feels like mercy. The rationalization comes too easily. Either David is naturally suited for this work, or psychological breaking was more complete than appeared. Any word on our next major target? David asks. Victoria mentioned something about a developing situation. A group of students planning to document and expose systematic bullying. David laughs bitterly. Let me guess, idealistic kids who think they're heroes fighting injustice? Something like that. I'll handle it. I know exactly how they think, what drives them. Breaking their resistance will be simple. The enthusiasm disturbs even Ethan's manufactured persona. David has embraced his new role completely, perhaps seeing it as way to reclaim power after feeling powerless. Ethan's secure phone buzzes. Olivia, report to Institute immediately. Emergency situation. The drive to Riverside Institute is tense. Olivia provides no details, but her expression suggests significant development. At the facility, they find unusual activity, senior operatives from multiple districts, security personnel, atmosphere of crisis. Victoria Hartwell addresses assembled group in main conference room. We have a problem. Someone has been leaking operational intelligence to unknown recipients. Detailed information about our structure, methods, personnel. Ethan's blood freezes. The underground's mole hunt has apparently triggered Shadow Council's own investigation. The leaks are sophisticated, James Carter explains, projecting compromised documents. Inside knowledge, operational details only senior members would possess. We have a traitor among us. Murmurs of shock and anger ripple through room. Ethan maintains expression of surprised concern while calculating exposure risks. Effective immediately, Victoria continues, all operations are suspended pending security review. Everyone will undergo enhanced screening, psychological evaluation, and polygraph testing. Polygraph. Even with training, beating advanced lie detection while maintaining deep cover poses extreme risk. Sarah Lynch adds, we've identified partial digital footprint. The traitor used sophisticated encryption, but patterns suggest someone recruited within last 6 months. Every eye turns toward newer members, including Ethan and David. The suspicion is palpable and dangerous. This is ridiculous, David protests. I gave up everything to join you. Why would I risk exposure? Converts often make best double agents, Carter notes. Maintaining resistance while appearing to comply. We've seen it before. Then test me first, David demands. Polygraph, psychology, whatever you need. I have nothing to hide. His confidence seems genuine. Either David truly has converted completely, or stress has created perfect sociopathic detachment. Everyone will be tested, Victoria states. Beginning with newest members. Ethan, you're first. The walk to testing room feels endless. Ethan reviews training, baseline establishment, breathing control, cognitive dissociation. But Shadow Council's resources suggest advanced detection methods beyond standard polygraph. The testing room contains standard polygraph equipment plus additional monitors suggesting brain activity scanning, micro-expression analysis, voice stress detection. This is intelligence agency-level interrogation technology. Dr. Sarah Chen oversees testing personally. Ethan, I want you to understand this isn't accusation. It's verification. Everyone undergoes same process. I understand. I have nothing to hide. The baseline questions are routine, name, age, background. Ethan establishes his patterns while sensors record physiological responses. Have you ever shared Shadow Council information with unauthorized persons? No. Truth, from certain perspective. The underground is authorized by higher moral authority. Have you maintained contact with any resistance organizations? No. Another technical truth. He contacts underground, they aren't technically resistance but revolution. Do you support the Shadow Council's mission and methods? Dangerous question requiring nuanced response. I support maintaining social stability through structured intervention. That's not what I asked. Do you support our specific mission and methods? I've learned to see their necessity. Emotional truth despite moral objection. Questions continue, probing deeper, searching for deception cracks. Ethan navigates carefully, using technical truths and philosophical frameworks to avoid direct lies. One anomaly, Dr. Chen notes, studying readings. Stress indicators spike when discussing David Kim's recruitment. Explain. Recruiting him reminded me of my own breaking. It was difficult, necessary but painful. Empathy for targets reduces operational effectiveness. Which is why I'm working to eliminate it. But conditioning takes time. She accepts this explanation, though notation suggests continued monitoring. Preliminary results indicate no deception. Full analysis will take 48 hours. Ethan exits, drenched in sweat from mental effort. David waits outside, scheduled next. How bad was it? Intense but manageable. Just remember, technical truth is still truth. Focus on what you genuinely believe now, not past doubts. David nods and enters. Ethan uses waiting time to assess situation. The investigation threatens his mission but also suggests Underground has other assets successfully extracting intelligence. The question becomes whether maintaining cover serves greater purpose than information already obtained. Olivia approaches. Clean reading? Apparently. Though Dr. Chen noted some stress responses. Everyone shows stress under interrogation. What matters is loyalty, and yours has been consistently demonstrated. She pauses. Actually, that's what concerns investigators. The mole would appear perfectly loyal until exposed. Wonderful. Too good at infiltration becomes its own suspicion. What happens if they can't identify the mole? Purge. Remove anyone with even marginal suspicion. Better to lose assets than risk continued exposure. The cold calculation chills. Shadow Council would eliminate dozens of their own people to protect the organization. Individual loyalty means nothing against institutional survival. David emerges from testing, looking shaken but satisfied. Clean results. Even complimented my rapid integration. That night, emergency underground communication arrives, Shadow Council conducting mole hunt. Maintain cover unless directly exposed. Critical intelligence package coming soon. Prepare for extraction protocol. Extraction. The endgame approaches, but timing remains uncertain. Too early wastes infiltration opportunity. Too late risks exposure and elimination. Over following days, paranoia grips Shadow Council operations. Members watch each other suspiciously. Previously routine meetings become tense interrogations. The organization begins cannibalizing itself through suspicion. David thrives in this environment, using chaos to advance position. He identifies suspicious behaviors in other members, writes detailed reports, positions himself as Victoria's protected asset. You're learning well, Ethan observes after David successfully implicates a senior member in possible betrayal. It's just pattern recognition. Find who benefits from chaos, who shows stress indicators, who might have hidden motivations. David smiles coldly. Funny how skills I developed fighting them now serve them perfectly. And if you identified the actual mole? I'd expose them immediately. This organization gave me purpose when I had none. Anyone betraying that deserves whatever comes. The conviction seems absolute. David hasn't just joined Shadow Council, he's become true believer. Perhaps that's the cruelest manipulation, turning idealists into their own antithesis. 3 days later, polygraph results return. 7 members flagged for anomalies, including 2 senior operatives. Ethan's results show minor stress indicators within acceptable range. The net tightens, Victoria announces at emergency meeting. Further investigation focuses on these 7 individuals. Meanwhile, operations resume limited capacity. She assigns teams to monitor suspects. Ethan finds himself paired with David to surveillance Marcus Webb, his former ally, now potentially the mole. The irony is excruciating. Ethan must help investigate someone who might be underground ally while maintaining his own cover. David shows no recognition of moral complexity, approaching task with clinical efficiency. Marcus always seemed weak, David notes, reviewing files. Joined out of fear rather than conviction. Classic profile for turning. They shadow Marcus for days, documenting movements, analyzing communications, building case. Ethan subtly misdirects investigation while appearing thorough, but David's instincts are sharp. He's hiding something, David insists after intercepting coded message. This proves communication with external forces. The message is innocuous, arrangement to meet girlfriend, but David's paranoia interprets everything as evidence. He's becoming what Ethan pretended to be, someone who sees conspiracy everywhere. We should report this immediately, David says. Or investigate further first. Premature accusation might alert real mole. Good point. We go deeper, build ironclad case. When we expose the traitor, Victoria will recognize our value. David's ambition now serves Shadow Council perfectly. He wants advancement, recognition, power within system he once opposed. The transformation is complete. That night, Ethan receives final underground message, package delivered tomorrow noon. Institute mailroom. Extraction protocol activates upon retrieval. Burn all bridges. Tomorrow. After months of infiltration, gathering intelligence, maintaining impossible cover, the mission ends tomorrow. But ending means revealing himself to David, Olivia, everyone who trusted his conversion. It means destroying relationships built on lies but containing genuine moments. It means admitting he's been the monster they turned him into. Most importantly, it means David Kim remains Shadow Council operative. The idealist transformed into oppressor stays broken, continuing to destroy others as he was destroyed. Ethan stares at sleeping pills bottle. Easy escape exists, overdose tonight, avoid tomorrow's choices. Die as undetected hero rather than live as exposed traitor. But death serves no purpose. The intelligence gathered could destroy Shadow Council nationwide. The sacrifice of David Kim and others could prevent thousands of future victims. Could. Not would. Revolution promises are always uncertain while collaboration consequences remain immediate. Tomorrow, Ethan Reed stops playing roles. Whether that reveals hero, villain, or something between remains to be seen. The final act approaches. Time to discover who survives when all masks fall away. Next time on The Silent Roar, Episode 5, Revolution. Join us for the penultimate episode where 3 years of planning collide with decades of control, and the price of change proves higher than anyone imagined.